My name is Dave Harris. I've been an interior, exterior, commercial, and residential painter for the last 11 years, and today we're going to discuss some sponge painting techniques. So what sponge painting is exactly what it sounds like. It's using a sponge to apply paint to a wall as opposed to a brush or roller. And using a sponge is going to give you some different options that you can't quite get with either of the other two options. And today I'm going to demonstrate just a few of those options. I'm using a very special type of sponge to paint the wall. You're not going to want to use just your standard normal kitchen sponge. This is a sea sponge. You can find this at any arts and crafts store or any painting supply store. And what I'm going to do to demonstrate this for you today is I'm just going to tear a little piece of sponge off that I can fit in my fingertips. I'm only going to be painting a small area of wall. And if you're going to be painting a much bigger area, you're probably going to want to use a whole sponge like this, and we'll get into that later. So the first technique I'm going to demonstrate to you today is just using a dry sponge. And I'm going to take a little bit of this light blue here. I'm going to put it on top of this base coat of white I've already put down. And what the technique is I'm basically going to take this sponge and I'm going to do little semicircle twists on the wall. And it's going to create this kind of cloud-like effect on the wall. So you can see here that I'm allowing the base coat to shine through. You're going to notice that a lot of the techniques I show you today are going to involve that principle. You don't have to use white as your base coat all the time. For instance, this technique would look really cool if you have a dark blue base coat and then you put a light blue on top of it. The next painting effect I'm going to show you is basically what's the equivalent of stippling with a paintbrush. You're going to take your sponge and you're going to dip it in your paint. You want to make sure there's not a horribly large amount of paint on the brush. You want to get all that excess paint off. And you're just going to dab it on the wall. And you're going to want to do very brief strokes, kind of alternating their texture. You're not going to want to get huge clumps of paint all over the place. So this is a painting technique that works really well if you layer the colors. So I'm going to put another layer of paint on top of that. And this time, instead of a light blue, I'm going to use a darker blue. And I'm going to take this dark blue and I'm going to add just a little bit of water to kind of dilute it out. And I'm just going to stir that up and mix that up. I'm going to wring out the excess water. I'm going to do the same thing on top of the light blue I just put on there. So my name is Dave Harris. I'd like to thank you for joining me today and allowing me to share my expertise with you. And those are some techniques that you can use while sponge painting.